How to Save the World and Other Things on My To-Do List. One Woman's Totally Serious Guide to Inner World Domination by Lizzie Allan, Creator of Hilarapy. Chapter 4. What do you actually want? There's a question most people avoid. Not because they don't have the answer, but because something in them doesn't feel safe enough to tell the truth. What do you actually want? Not what's sensible, not what would keep everyone comfortable, not the edited, reasonable, socially acceptable version. What do you actually, genuinely, in the deepest and most honest part of you want? Most people don't get what they want, not because it isn't available to them, but because they don't believe they deserve it, or they don't believe it's really possible for someone like them. So instead of choosing what they truly want, they choose something smaller, something safer, something that won't raise any eyebrows. And then they spend years trying to convince themselves it's enough. But here's what I want you to understand about desire. Desire isn't random. It isn't frivolous. It's a signal, a kind of internal roadmap from that same creative intelligence we talked about earlier. The thing that grows the plants, moves the oceans, keeps your heart beating without your permission. That intelligence doesn't suddenly get confused when it comes to your life. If something lives in you as a longing, a pull, a persistent, quiet want, there is a reason for that. Before we go any further, say this out loud. I am allowed to want. My desires are clear signals. Creative intelligence placed these longings in me for a reason. I honor them. I stop cutting them down before they bloom. Take a breath, because for some of you, that will be the first time you've said anything like that and meant it. Let it land. I learned very early that asking for things came with consequences. I was 6 or 7, sitting in the back of my dad's car with my sister as we pulled away from my grandparents' house. The visit before, my grandfather had given us both £1 as we left. So this time I had a plan. I whispered to my sister, who is usually very shy, to ask him. She leaned towards the open window as my grandfather bent down with a kind face. Grandfather, can we have £1? His face turned to thunder. He told us off, sharply, definitively, in the way that only adults telling off small children can land, like the ground shifting under your feet. My dad drove us back to my mum's in silence, and my sister and I sat in the back, small and shamefaced, the entire journey. That was the lesson. Asking leads to shame. Wanting out loud leads to punishment. Better to not want, better to not ask. Better to make yourself smaller than the desire and hope nobody notices. My mum, a single mum doing her best, would say no when we asked for things too, not cruelly, but consistently. And as a child, you have no access to funds, no ability to meet your own needs, no choice but to depend on the adults around you. So you learn to shrink the wanting, to keep it quiet, to feel somehow wrong for having it in the first place. Over the years, that belief settled in quietly and became the ground I stood on. It's not okay to want more. Asking leads to shame. Stay small, stay safe. Don't want out loud. Say this now, and if it feels uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is the old belief meeting something new. It is safe for me to want things. Wanting is not shameful. Desire is not greed. I am allowed to ask. I am allowed to receive. The universe is not my grandfather. It does not turn to thunder when I lean toward the window. Then this. I release the early lesson that wanting leads to punishment. That was then, this is now. Life is abundant, creative intelligence is generous, and I am allowed to want my share of that abundance, fully, out loud, without apology. When I was 19, I went traveling. All my friends were in university, and I had saved money working 3 jobs, and I thought, by the time I come back, I'll know what I'm supposed to do with my life. What actually happened was considerably more dramatic than that. I was in Thailand, not doing well with my spiritual health, taking drugs, partying, not looking after myself in any of the ways that matter, and I had a psychotic break from reality, a big one. My mum had to fly out and collect me from a hospital in Thailand. Back in England, I was sectioned, and for 2 months I lived in another dimension of reality entirely, limitless, electric, vast, in which I was absolutely certain I was going to be a famous rapper and save the world with my debut album. I am not joking. That was the vision in full Technicolor detail. And then one morning I woke up. The first thought that hit me was, I'm not going to be a famous rapper. The second thought arriving about half a second later with full force, oh no, I told everyone I was going to be a famous rapper. I went red. Lying in bed, completely alone, I went red with mortification, like waking up from the most extended, vivid, elaborate dream and realizing, with absolute clarity, that you cannot fly, that you have never been able to fly, and that you had told a significant number of people with complete confidence that you could fly. I didn't want to see anyone. I was so ashamed I could barely look at myself. The come down from that level of grandiosity into ordinary human life, with its ordinary human limitations and ordinary human embarrassments, is a very particular kind of suffering. You have been enormous, and then you are suddenly, humiliatingly small. That experience broke something open in me, and it took years to understand what had actually happened. That underneath the psychosis was a genuine spiritual awakening, real downloads, real truth, just arriving through a mind that wasn't equipped to hold them cleanly. The rapper thing was the container my unwell mind put around something real. The real thing was, you are here to create. You are here to contribute something. The power in you is real and it wants to move. A couple of years later, I was trying to live a normal life, work, pay rent, drink with my friends, and I could feel it. This volcanic, creative force inside me, demanding to get out, building pressure, growing impossible to ignore. I was sitting on the side of my bed, 22 years old, and I said to myself, I'm not going to sit on this volcano anymore. I'm going to give myself to this power, this creative force that wants to move through me. I'm saying yes to it. And then I started writing. Writing and writing and writing. Journals, ideas, everything that had been building, and something released. The attachment to outcome, to what it would look like or whether it would be received or whether anyone would understand it, just fell away. I wasn't writing to become anything. I was writing because the power in me needed to move. I was giving it permission, finally, fully, without needing to know where it was going. That was the real decision, not a 5-year plan, not a career strategy, just yes, I say yes to what is trying to move through me. Say this now. I say yes to what is trying to move through me. I stop sitting on the volcano. I give myself full permission to create, to express, to want boldly. The power in me is real. I honor it. I say yes. Then this. I release attachment to outcome. I am not creating to become something. I am creating because the intelligence in me needs to move. That is enough. That has always been enough. I give it permission now. And this. I am not too much. I am not too big. I am not too loud or too bold or too anything. I am exactly the right size for what I am here to do, and I do it fully, freely, without apology. So let me talk about desire clearly, because we've been given very mixed messages about it. On one hand, you're shown constantly what you should want, through adverts, through comparison, through the highlight reels of other people's lives. And on the other hand, you're told not to want too much. Don't be greedy, be grateful for what you have. There are people with less. Who do you think you are? So most people do the only logical thing, they shut it down. They feel the desire rise and immediately cut it off. I can't have that. That's not for people like me. That's too much. It's like growing a beautiful tall poppy and chopping your own head off before anyone else gets the chance. We even have a name for it, tall poppy syndrome. But here's the thing. Most of the time, nobody else is cutting you down. You're doing it yourself. You feel yourself expand and then you shrink right back, just to stay familiar, just to stay acceptable, just to not rock the boat. And it's unnecessary, because the truth is, The universe supports you in whatever you choose. If you choose small, it meets you there. If you choose safe, it meets you there. And if you choose something bold, expansive, slightly terrifying, it meets you there too. Say this: I refuse to cut myself down. I let the poppy grow tall. I let myself want what I want, fully, clearly, without managing it into something more acceptable. My desires are valid. My vision is real. I let it be as big as it actually is. Then this: the universe supports me in whatever I choose. If I choose bold, it meets me there. If I choose expansive, it meets me there. If I choose something that feels slightly outrageous, it meets me there too. I choose bold. I choose expansive. I choose outrageous. Let me give you an example that might sound slightly outrageous. I have known since I was 22 that I would meet Oprah. Not hoped, known. She has been on my vision board for years. In meditation, I've seen it clearly and specifically. Two women who have both spent their lives believing that the inner world creates the outer one, finally in conversation about hilarapy, about what happens when you take the most painful parts of being human and meet them with laughter and truth and love. I feel relaxed in this vision, at home, like it's the most normal thing in the world. And I don't have Oprah on my vision board because I have her on a pedestal. I have her there because she represents completion. Because when I'm sitting across from her, it means that everything I have believed in, worked towards, and refused to stop moving towards against all odds and in the face of a great deal of laughter has actually come to pass. And a few months ago, I met her. I was at my friend Maria Shriver's birthday party, dressed as a 1970s Hollywood drug dealer. I wanted to wear that character like a skin. And I saw Oprah sitting alone, and I went over. I knelt down beside her and I put my hand out, palm up rather than the standard handshake, because there is something about it that says, I am not a threat, like a dog rolling over. Pure honesty, pure openness. Here I am. She looked at my hand, then she looked at me, then she looked at my hand again, and then she looked at me, and then, after a pause that felt very long and not long at all, she took it. I stayed steady the whole time. I did not fill the silence. I just waited. I'm Lizzie. I'm a friend of Maria's. We met at the Hoffman process. Have you done it? We talked for a few minutes. She kept touching my arm as she talked, and I felt no separation from her. She is a wonderful human being, and so am I. I thought nothing of speaking to her. I said my goodbyes warmly and walked back into the party. And as I walked away, I remember the vision. The future interview, the two of us sitting down together properly and genuinely excited, talking about hilarapy and saving the world. And I smiled to myself and thought, good, it is coming. That was the universe tipping its hat, letting me know I am moving in exactly the right direction. The funniest part, she has absolutely no idea. No idea about the vision, no idea about the interview. She will when the time is right. That evening, as the party was ending, I was saying goodbye to Maria outside the most incredible 1970s nightclub she had created inside a party tent. Earlier in the evening, Simon had come and talked with me. He had asked me all about hilarapy. He was genuinely interested, leaning in, asking real questions. I recognized him but did not know the full scope of his work. I just thought, this is a good conversation with a genuinely curious person. And then as I was leaving, Maria turned to him and said, Simon, get Lizzie on your podcast. She needs to get going. And he said, I was thinking that earlier. Would you like to come on my podcast? What a moment. I went home that night with two things sitting quietly in my chest. Oprah, Simon Sinek, both in one evening, both without me pushing or performing or trying to make things happen. And I understood what the universe was saying. Lizzie, get ready. This kind of visibility is coming. Are you prepared for it? I went straight home and I have been preparing ever since, because I learned a long time ago that opportunity does not wait for you to be ready, but it does reward the people who decided to get ready anyway. Opportunity meets preparation. And I am ready. Now let me tell you about Maria, because she is part of this story too. I met her at the Hoffman process a few years ago. I didn't know who she was. I'm from England and not always up to date on the American who's who. My first impression was of someone with an electric storm around her, someone who didn't want to get vulnerable, someone with walls that had clearly been built for very good reasons. The next day she sat down next to me with a big smile and asked what we were all laughing about, and I looked at her and said, "You've put your walls down." She said, "Did you notice?" I said, "Yes, and I'm not going to try to tear them down. They're obviously there for a reason." And we were friends after that. We got closer through the week, and then I had the wrong COVID test to fly back to Canada, and she invited me to stay at her house. I told her my story, going mad in Thailand, the hospital, being sectioned, the whole journey back to myself, and she looked at me and said excitedly, "That's a movie. You should write a book. I publish people." I took that as confirmation from the universe that I am on my path. It's not that Maria has done these things for me. I must do this work. I must write the books, build the vision, and show up for what I'm here to do. But the universe always guides, always confirms, always sends the right people at exactly the right moment to the ones who are paying attention and willing to want big enough to attract them. Maria is a gift of creative intelligence. So is Oprah, touching my arm in a loud room. So is Simon Sinek saying, "Do you want to be on my podcast?" It was as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. It is the most obvious thing in the world. When you allow your desire instead of shutting it down. Say this now and really mean it. I allow my desire instead of shutting it down. I hold the vision even when it feels outrageous. I expect the right people to find me. I expect life to confirm my path. I expect to land in rooms that match my vision, because I have been building that vision, holding it, refusing to cut it down. Then this. What is mine is finding me. The right people, the right opportunities, the right confirmations, they are already in motion. I don't need to chase them. I need to be ready for them. I am ready. And this. I have evidence that this works. I have lived proof that desiring boldly, holding the vision, and refusing to shrink attract exactly what is needed. I trust that evidence. I expand into it. I expect more. So let me ask you again, not lightly, not casually, what do you actually want? Not the managed version, not the version that sounds reasonable at a dinner party, the real one, the one that lives in you quietly and persistently and refuses to fully go away, no matter how many times you've tried to talk yourself out of it. Say it out loud now, just to yourself, just in the privacy of this moment. This is what I actually want. And then say this: I am allowed to want it. I am allowed to have it. I am allowed to expect it. Creative intelligence placed this desire in me for a reason. I honor it. I hold it. I refuse to cut it down. Because desire is not the enemy of peace. Desire is the language of creative intelligence speaking directly to you about the direction of your life. What do you actually want? And what might happen if you stopped pretending you don't? If you would like to download a free copy of this book, go to my website, lizzieallan.com, and find How to Save the World and download your free copy there. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, share with your friends, because this is a group effort. I'm really glad you're here. I love you, I love you, I love you. I'm out.